two sleds side by side. This is your standard size sled. I think this is a medium size. This is a jet sled. This is probably what you'll find in all your big box stores, your sporting goods stores. It'll be this size right here. I think this is 54 inches long. This here is your Beavertail Large Sled with cover, which I'm gonna put on here in a second. Bought this for 150 bucks with the cover. Sled here, I believe, is about $50 to $60. The reason I bought this one is I wanted a little bit more space. Lengthwise, it still will fit in my bed of my truck. I think this is 67 inches long. And then it also has a cover so I can go vertically with the amount of storage I put in this sled. I went on one early goose hunt, used it, holds a lot of decoys. Actually, I had all these in here. That decoy head is going back on. I'm boiling some water right now, so boil some water and then I think you have to put it on. Otherwise, you'll damage those heads. These are all Bigfoot. I bought a dozen and a half this year. So I'm gonna put this cover back on here. Okay, so the cover that you'll get will have this one end that has a mesh on it. This end here will go to the back of this sled so you can drain any water that gets in your sled. You can just tip it up from the front and drain all the water out the back. So that's where that mesh side goes. So let's put that on there. Each section has this plastic, almost U-shaped clip attached to the cover, and this will snap in to this lip here. So it's just a push and it snaps and holds on. So this plastic U-shape just goes right over that lip and it's just that snap. Okay, so I have the mesh side in the back, which is what the directions say, but this length obviously does not really match up to this length here. So I think I'm going to switch it because this piece is a lot shorter than that piece down there. And I think it makes more sense to have that down here. So let me switch it real quick. And as you can see back here, this piece now fits nicely. Before it kept popping off because of this bend here. So now I'll put this on. That makes more sense. Beavertail, you have your directions wrong. All right, let's continue putting this on. There you go. You have a dozen and a half goose floaters now in one sled. Before, in this size sled, I was only able to take maybe half a dozen. So for reference, here is one goose decoy in that standard size sled. I believe this is 54 inches long. That one, Beavertail Large Sled, is 67 inches long. As you can see, this sled would fill up pretty quick, especially with no utility cover. You really have to lay them in there and can't really go much taller than the sides of that sled, otherwise you're going to be dropping decoys out. So the good thing about that utility cover is now I have vertical storage. I don't have to worry about decoys falling out, losing decoys behind me, or getting tangled up in the grass, the weeds, whatever I'm pulling against. So when I first got this sled and loaded it down, my concern was the weight of it. How am I going to pick this up and put it in the back of my truck? But as you can see, if you reach over and you can just grab this utility cover in the side of your sled, it's not terrible. It's definitely not light, and I would recommend you and a buddy double team this bad boy and throw it in the back of the truck, a boat, whatever you're throwing in the back of. So one thing I've noticed about this sled is that if you do not have these drawstrings tight, you could potentially get to where these decoys want to hang over and even potentially go down and touch the water or the ground or whatever you're pulling across. So make sure you have these drawstrings tight. Another drawback with almost all Beavertail sleds is the length of these ropes. They're not long at all versus my other sled. So these two sleds setting side by side, fronts lined up. Here is a length difference on the ropes. So Beavertail, I like the nice thick rope, but you gotta make these longer. That does not help anybody. So there you have it. There's 1.5 dozen goose floaters in that sled. Not so much that sled. That standard size sled, yeah, maybe 6 to 8 goose floaters. But this sled here, Beavertail Large with utility cover, will do the job. I will also be using this sled a lot this season. I plan on using it to pull behind my kayak, throw in the utility trailer, throw in the back of my truck. So be sure to watch my hunts this year, and I will be using that sled. If you have any questions about this Beavertail Large sled with utility cover, be sure to post them down in the comments and I will get to them right away.